Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Just Another G.I. Joe Show. Excuse me, episode number 52. This here, Fred would be here with us, but Fred had something else come up, or he says we'll try to hop on a little bit later.
Him.
Whenever he can. But until then, this is the 8-toe edition of Joe's Show. So we got on Bobby again. This time he's got a little bit more information than he did on episode 50. Since the last time you were on, which is about a month ago, you have revealed as it's called, the Valaverse.
Yep.
And you revealed some images. You revealed the name.
Yep.
I did not, me personally, I got to listen to part of the reveal on Chris McLeod's station. But go ahead and fill in some people who might not follow Chris as well anyways, but you all should follow Chris over at the Full Force on Facebook and everything else.
So you mean to tell me that you're having a guest on and you didn't even listen to the whole podcast where he talked about his new line?
Dude, did you forget the week I was in the hospital?
I don't want to hear excuses.
Yeah. Lucky I'm breathing.
Yes, on Chris's show, I did announce that I started my own company. That is Valaverse, www.valaverse.com, the Valaverse on Facebook and Instagram. And that is the company that I am launching my new 6-inch, highly premium military collector line of action figures called Action Force. So for those of you, many that have seen it, checked out the page, know what it is. Thank you for checking it out. Send me your comments, that all that. It's been super, super positive. I'm very excited about it. But yes, I acquired the name Action Force legally. So I'll get into that in a minute. But yes, it is. The line is called Action Force. This is not your old 80s UK Action Force. This is an all-new, rebooted, new Action Force with all new, unique characters, storyline, what have you, that I've created. You can see that I've been posting on the site and on the social media accounts. You can read up on the story. You can read up on the characters that I've debuted so far. Their bios are up there, their character art. I've also shown my concept figure art, so you can see how the figure will be put together from my end. And then I've been showing sculpts as they come in for those figures so that you can see the whole process, keeping everyone in the loop because, I don't believe that people should be left out, especially consumers who are supporting you and buying your stuff. I think, they should be along for the ride as well. So I wanted to make it a point that, I show the whole process to everyone and kept constant updates and giving you guys some cool things to see. So you know what's going on. You're aware of everything, all leading up to the Kickstarter, which hopefully should be happening at the end of April. Fingers crossed. It looks like we're on track to get there. So hopefully it all goes well and it all funds and we're good to go. But like I said, super excited. Feedback has been great. It's a lot bigger than I expected. I wasn't sure how this would be, but everyone's been super, super great about it. It's like 90% positive, 10% negative, but it's in toy making, you can't please everyone, and I know that. And all you can do is to make something good for the people that actually like what you're making. So,
a quick question on that. When that's something I wanted to ask. I don't want to get into the show and forget to ask you this, but when you say 90% positive, 10% negative, and I've tried to keep up on all the social medias where everything's being talked about, what negativity are you seeing? I mean, what is it? Is it the naysayers? Is it the people who probably can't afford it? Or, I mean, are they just want to tear you down? Or is it?
I think it's a mix. I mean, I'm not really going to go into all of it, but it's like, some people just aren't going to like what you do. Whether they like you, whether they just don't like something, but it's a mix. It's a mix of you know, a lot of people, a lot of Joe fans are very married to, you know, the 3 3/4/4 inch scale, and they've been collecting it for years. And you know, they don't want to collect a new scale, and I totally respect that. That's fine. You know, I wish they would be a little more open and say, you know what, I collect this, but you know what, I can venture in, because it's like I love 3 3/4, but you know, it's not the only scale I collect, and I don't think you should only collect one scale. But it's, you know, I see both sides of it. You know, I hope that when they see, you know, the prototypes of the figures and the Kickstarter comes around, those people, you know, are like, wow, it's a really great figure. I kind of want one or two of those, and I get them to come over. So you know, there's that. There's, you know, the the people in the UK weren't too happy that I took Action Force. So you know, I tried to go on some of the boards and explain, and that's what I'll get into here about trademark versus copyright, because I think what people didn't understand was the difference between trademark and copyright, and that's what was causing some of the anger. And they thought that I was taking Action Force and it could never be done ever again, and I was, you know, driving a stake through the heart of it, but that wasn't the case. So the way trademark and copyright works is a trademark is for name only. So the name Action Force was a trademark, but say the character Red Laser or Captain Skip, they are protected by copyright. Copyright lasts forever. So when Hasbro acquired Palitoy and Action Force and Action Man and all that, they got the copyright. So they own the copyright for those characters. Now I can't design a character that looks like them. I can't design a character that looks like Red Laser and call him Red Laser, because that's copyright infringement. But the name, the actual name, Action Force, it went abandoned in 2005. So it's been dead for 14 years. And even before that, Hasbro did nothing with it, and they had zero plans to ever do anything with it. So I thought it was it had nostalgic real estate to it, and I just, you know, I thought it was a cool name, and you know, I wanted to do something new with it, and it was my legal right that I went and I applied for the trademark and got the trademark and spent thousands of dollars doing it. So yeah, it's legally mine. So that's the difference, is when you try to rip off a character, you try to make a rip off version of a character, that's copyright infringement. So some people might say, oh, well, you're a hypocrite because you said something was a knockoff. But no, I said something was a knockoff because they were blatantly doing copyright infringement. I am not infringing on any copyright. I legally own the trademark name, and that's what I'm using. That's why, you know, people are like, well, you know, why don't you do some more throwbacks to Action Force? Well, this isn't Action. This is the new Action Force. This is something totally new. So, you know, but because of trademark and copyright, you know, I can't do that, nor would I want to. I wouldn't want to do a Red Laser or you know, a Jam or anything like that, because I just, you know, those things were done and they're great and they're established, and I would never want to tread on that. I want to do something that's new and that's my own and that it's fresh and hopefully people can rally behind. So
this sounds kind of like a lot of the issues Hasbro has had in the past with naming characters. Like they would, like especially in Transformers, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there were a number of Transformers that we would get an updated version of here in the last few years, but they couldn't use the original name from the 80s because they no longer owned it. Someone else did. So I guess it's kind of in all the properties of Hasbro, they just, stuff they didn't care about or name wise, they just let go. And then anyone else and their brother can legally go after it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what this was. I mean, it's just not Action Force that happened on. It's, you know, I've seen it in Transformers, number of characters.
Yeah. Now, now if you notice you know, there was some pictures of some Action Man product that was in like the UK Toy Fair or something a couple of months ago. You know, the name Action Man, they secured that. They renewed that trademark. You know, every few years they would need to renew a trademark on a character and get a character out, because they don't, you have to renew them every 3 years. Like if you do a character and then you don't do it for 4 years, then it's abandoned, and then someone can come in and scoop it up. So, yeah, I mean, yes, I could have come up with, a name on my own, but, I chose to go this route, and that's what I did. And like I said, it's 90% positive, 10% negative, but that's with all toys. When I was at Hasbro on Marvel Legends, it was that way. Every other brand I worked on, it was that way. It's just the nature of the beast. I wish I could make everyone happy. I wish everyone loved everything I did, but it's not the case, and it's not gonna happen. People have too many different tastes and opinions and that kind of thing. So, I'm just happy that there's 90% positive. I think that that's really great. People have been very, very supportive. The comments are fantastic. I'm trying to, respond back to everyone, but everyone who sent your comments, thank you for it so far, and hopefully supporting it when the Kickstarter starts.
The story. This is what's unique about your Kickstarter that will be happening soon, is that a lot of figures that have Kickstarters, and it's kind of, I'm not trying to put no one down when I mention this name, especially take Russell, for example, doing the Cowboys. I don't think there's much of a comic story or any story behind just doing the cowboy figures, which I think, after seeing all his pictures, they look really great after he's finally getting along and going. And even the Army Alphas that have no story behind that at all. What's unique, I thought, was that you have made not only a name, but I mean, you put together a map of the United States in your image of what you see this reality world being. I mean, you put a story, you're putting actual name, characters, history behind everything. Now, not only do I think that pulls me in, because there's a story, not that there's generic figure. But of course, none of yours are generic. Where did you come up with the story? What idea? What made you think of everything?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, when I wanted to, kind of take the plunge and do my own line, I saw what everyone was doing. There are a lot of great companies out there that are doing, figure lines. And yeah, a lot of them, didn't have a story. And, I felt like from the start, I never wanted to do just a customizable, just figure line that was just, about the figures. I wanted to launch an IP, and have this be a brand, something that I can build on as far as story and character, and then figures as well. So I always had it in mind that I wanted it to have a background and a story and some sort of lore to it, because I just felt like if I was gonna, build it as successful as possible, I felt like having a story would really help with that. And I think, people would really get engaged with it, especially the way my plan was set up, where I wanted to launch the site and have the characters and that sort of thing a month before the Kickstarter, so that people could get acquainted with the story and find characters they like. And, when the Kickstarter starts, they already know who these characters are and who their favorites are and that sort of thing. But yeah, so I was just trying to think of, just a cool story. It's, you're always going to get good guy versus bad guy kind of thing, G.I. Joe Cobra, that sort of thing. But I was like, well, what's a way to not do good versus bad? Or, what if it wasn't good versus bad, but just factions, and how would that happen? And I was, trying to look at the state of things and how the world is and that sort of stuff. And I didn't want to do like a post-apocalyptic world, but I wanted to do an alternate world slightly different than what we had. Like, if we could speed up, maybe 10 years and see what would happen. All right, well, I thought it'd be cool. Say, what if every, the federal government just disbanded? And it was like, no, every state is its own republic and they just run themselves. I don't see how that's not, something that could happen in the future. I mean, look, it's so funny how you see different states, like some states will legalize this and legalize that, and other states won't. And like Rhode Island, we have this stupid car tax, and other states don't. And Florida has no state income tax, and Delaware has no sales tax. And how many states are it's like marijuana is legal in some, not legal in others, or recreational in some, or medical in some. And it's like everyone's so different. So why couldn't each state just operate on its own? So what if you just kind of took the whole of the federal government and just splintered it and just spread it over each state? So then each state or republic, then it's like you take the whole U.S. military and say, this state gets this amount of the military, this state gets this amount, and so forth and so forth. And, all the infrastructure and capital and that kind of thing gets spread out. But because you have smaller states and bigger states with higher population and more infrastructure, they're obviously going to be the more powerful states. So, that's why, I took a state like Texas. It's like the largest state. And, they in the past, they, went out on their own and they tried to be their own sort of country, which is great. I think that's awesome. So it's nothing against Texas. I love Texas. I always said I probably should have grown up there since I own so many guns and knives and stuff. But,
and bourbon.
yeah, no, it was nothing against Texas. It was just trying to find like what would be a strong state that could become a superpower. And that's kind of like where I started. And it wasn't like they were just being bad guys. It was like, okay, well, no, we want to do this. You can become part of us. It wasn't like they were just taking over. It was like, no, they were giving them the option, but then the ones that fought it, then they fought them. So, yes, you could say maybe they're the quasi bad guys, but I don't really look at, like New Colonia as the true villains, because there's so many different factions, and the story isn't even all there yet. It's just a tip of the iceberg of what the story is. The story there will be more as time goes on. You'll be introduced to more factions, and I just didn't want to overwhelm people with too much at once. I just wanted to keep it sort of basic. But yeah, that's the story. And then Action Force is kind of what almost like a better UN would be if people got together and said, all right, this whole taking over states is wrong. We're gonna put a stop to this. And that's where the Action Force kind of came together, and those are the heroes, the men and women that come together to kind of put a stop to that and bring the peace back to all the republics.
Now I'm looking at your website. There are 4 fractions total, correct?
Yeah, 4 so far that I showed. The garrison is like the giant military of New Colonia, and that's a big superpower military. The Brothers of Bones is kind of like almost like mercenaries for the garrison. And then you have the Swarm, which is the smaller states that don't have the larger militaries but need protection. They almost pay these sort of hired guns that were put together by a corporation. So they're like a corporate owned military that's just there for like hired protection. And then there's, Action Force. So those are the 4 factions that I've debuted so far. Trying to think if I'll be showing more anytime soon or before the Kickstarter. I don't think so. I think I'm just going to keep with those for now, because the characters for the Kickstarter are based around those 4 factions.
Okay, so the 4 fractions. Okay, no.
Mm-hmm.
A question I do want to ask. Reading on social media, where you were talking on certain things, you had mentioned some other people's names. Now, you're not the only one working on this, correct?
With what?
As far as design and sculpture and stuff of that nature.
Well, the designs of the characters are all me. I've designed every figure and every accessory, so that's all me. I got a bunch of great sculptors helping me out. So because I can't do the sculpting, that I have a few people that are helping me that are super talented. Okay. Arlen Pelletier, he's one of my main guys. He did the heads for the characters that I've been posting. Grace, who I know from my Hasbro days, she is doing some excellent sculpts for me. She did the swarm sculpt, which is really, really sick. She's fantastic, and I have some others as well. And then there are some people around the Joe community that are that helped flesh out some of the bios for the characters. So I didn't get their approval yet, if I could say that they were helping, but when I do, I'll throw their names up there. And then I have some friends of mine back from my comic book days that are help me out with some the character art that's on the bio page for them. A couple of my friends have been working on that stuff for me because I was doing the figure design, so I couldn't do the character art. But now that I've freed up a little bit from doing the figure designs because they're all wrapped up, I'm now starting to do the character art. So the next character I'm going to debut will be drawn by my friend Alex Sanchez, who did some of the other ones. He's a big name in the comic book world, great talent. And then the next character after that will be my art, which I'm really excited about. I'm actually working on it right here. So it's good to actually, be drawing again. It's been really fun. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, it's a lot of people are helping me out, but as far as, what, Valaverse is just me, no partners right now. So it's just me, and then a lot of really great talented people helping me out with stuff.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I asked is I'd seen it was Grace's name mentioned in the comments somewhere, so I was just curious if you had some people helping you out.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She, I actually, when I was at Hasbro, I would hire our interns. So I would go and I would check out portfolios and hire interns. And I met Grace at big function where a bunch of college students were just showing their portfolios, and her art just blew me away. Like, she's a phenomenal illustrator, and she came and she was our intern at Hasbro, and she did great work for us. And then, a couple of years later, I saw her and I was like, "Oh, what team are you back for?" And she said, "Sculpting." I said, "Wait, you could sculpt too?" And people were telling me she was actually a better sculptor than an illustrator, which I don't know how it's possible because her illustration is fantastic. But her sculpts are amazing. So I'm really glad that I got her on board to help out with this stuff because she's fantastic.
One of the questions in the chat, and this is, and when it comes to Kickstarter, I'm a little stupid on it. Well, it's just
all you have to know is just buy mine.
Well, no, he wanted to know how many characters will be offered in the Kickstarter. I know there's always a stretch goal, but if I remember correctly, you said your stretch goal was going to be weapons. Maybe I can't remember what you'd said.
So the initial fund goal will be 5 figures. Okay. There will be 4 figures, and one of the 5 figures is a Kickstarter exclusive. And that figure is going to be a huge, huge, huge surprise for people. So that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, it's 5 figures for the initial fund goal, and then I have tons of figures and accessory packs, gear packs for stretch goals after that. So I think we got a really great lineup of the first 5, and then the stretch goals after are really, really awesome. So I'm hoping people are really digging the stretch goals and want to get to that, and it funds and it exceeds, and then we unlock a bunch of stretch goals. I was looking at through this whole process, I've been doing a lot of Kickstarter research, looking at all the ones for Toyz over the last 4 or 5 years, and like the 4 Horsemen doing Mythic Legions, their second one, I think they ran out of stretch goals, but because they hit so many of them, and I guess they didn't expect to plan for so many, but they brought in so much money and they hit so many stretch, they ran out of them. I was like, wow, that's a cool problem to have. But I mean, yeah. I'm hopeful that it's got to fund first. So if we fund, that's great, and whatever stretch goals after is gravy. So we'll see.
So 5 figures will be offered total throughout
Yep.
the Kickstarter?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay. So you're just keeping it kind of to see where everyone's going to be at on them, I guess.
Yeah, they're also, it's also 6-inch figures, so they're bigger, they're a little more expensive. So, I didn't want to, break the bank on people right off the bat. Like I think initially I had planned for 6, and then I, met with a buddy of mine who's doing some consulting work for me, who was helping me out on the factory and the things, and he was like, 6 might be too much. Maybe make it streamlined and make it 5. So we moved one of the figures from the initial to a stretch. He's the first stretch figure, but he's such a cool character that I don't mind him being a stretch goal, because I think people are going to see him and then want to get to that stretch goal because he's so cool. I think I think all the figures are great, but the first 3 figures as stretch goals are really awesome figures that I really hope we get to, because they're some of my favorites. I mean, they're all my favorites, but.
And then as far as the price, you're still working on all the details out on that, so I'm assuming.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything for price, because I don't want people to say, well, you said this, and then if it's different. But it's going to be in line with close to what is the market now. So I can tell you,
as far as the Kickstarter mark is what you're saying.
Yeah, they won't be $40 figures, and they won't be $50 figures.
Okay, well that's good to know.
I won't say any more, because I don't want to put myself, in a grave.
That there is kind of like a little sigh of relief for me, because not just me. I think a lot of people who, are very budgeted on their money, and when you say not a $40 figure and not a $50 figure, okay, well then I can budget $30 to $40 and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
To me in my head, I think, okay, but if I could think at the high end, $39.99, then I'm okay. I'm just saying at the high end, you know what I'm saying? Because you're saying not 40,
closer to 30.
I'll tell you that there makes a whole world's difference to me. As I invest in, I try to back all the G.I. Joe Kickstarters. I've backed just about all of them, I think, since I started doing or been more hands-on with the Joe community in the last few years. But I try to do what I can. That's within reason, of course, absolutely.
Yeah. No, and I've been trying to keep that in mind, because I know that, I don't want to just, take advantage of the consumer. I know that, people don't have a lot of money, and it's, but collecting is fun, and, you want to get something cool. So I'm keeping that in mind, that I want to, I'm not trying to sit here and make, every penny I can off these figures by exploiting people. No, it's like, I want to be realistic, and I want to have a good price point, so that people are like, yeah, that's worth the price. I want people to think that the product is worth it. And I want people to think that it's too high. But also you got to keep in mind, if my figures are slightly higher than a Marvel Legend, you can't say, well, Marvel Legends are $20. Well, but that's Hasbro, and their quantity allows them to do a $20 price point, whereas my quantity is going to be much lower, so the price is going to be a little higher than Marvel Legends.
It's so funny how you mentioned how Marvel Legends are 20. I guess they go through so many of them, but I have to say this before I forget, because it just really irritates the shit out of me, is how Hasbro has raised the prices on Transformer figures, but the scaling has gone down tremendously.
Has it?
Oh yeah, the new leader class Shockwave, when you take those kibbles and bits off of him, he's a damn Voyager. It's just, and of course, as a Transformer fanatic, I'm going to buy them. I might as well get a bottle of lube while I'm at it. Because the prices on the new Transformer Siege figures are pricey. I like them because, like Starscream, for example, they've finally given us the Cybertronian jet from the 1984 cartoon series. We finally got it. And guess what he comes with? He comes with battle damage. I think that's freaking awesome. When you got all these naysayers out there, oh, I'm gonna get some rubbing alcohol and I'm gonna take that off because I just don't like that on my Transformers. Seriously? I mean, come on, man.
You know,
I remember putting my own battle damage as a child with a screwdriver and a hammer on my toys as a child.
you know, it's I see it from both sides because I was one of those kids that I wanted my toy pristine. I didn't like battle damage.
Oh, I love battle damage.
You know,
Man.
it's like I don't know. It's two different sides of it. We saw it on Marvel Legends all the time. I mean, a lot of people, were like, "Don't put battle damage. We don't want it. We want a clean figure." So when we did battle damage, we had to make sure that we did it on like a second version of the character, so that it was, it wasn't, making people mad. But it's, to each his own, I guess.
And I like how you talked about, pristine figures. Your figures are going to come in some kind of packaging. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Some kind of packaging. And I noticed and just so you know, I do read a lot of the comments everywhere I can. As someone had mentioned about customizing their own figures, and you answered, and it sounded like you were more of the point of you welcome that. You want to see what people are going to do with these figures on their own because
sure. Because
what they're going to do.
Because you can only afford so much deco on a figure. If deco was unlimited, I'd put all sorts of shading on the face and dry brush on the vests and weathering and that sort of thing. But you run out of deco count. If anything, you're always reducing. So it'd be cool to see what people do with it. And then obviously, I'm sure people are going to be taking my figures and doing Joe characters of it because there's no 6-inch Joes in the market, which will be cool. So yeah, hey, you know what? You buy it, it's yours. I'd much rather you keep it as it is. But hey, it'll be fun to see. And I was toying with the idea of different areas of the website, and 2 areas I was thinking of adding later on. Once the figures are done, is a library, because I don't think that no one on their sites has like a checklist where you can go see every figure every year, every wave. So it's like you go for GI Joes, you go to Yo Joe, and Star Wars, you go to Rebel Scum, and I'm not sure if like Boss Fight or Marauders or 4 Horsemen do anything like that, but I want to have like a library, a checklist where you can see all the characters, when they were offered, what year, that sort of thing. And then I also want to have a section for like fan pictures, like to see what people are doing. What are they putting them in dioramas? Are they putting them posed out with other figures? Are they customizing them? So, I'm going to have a whole section where it welcomes all that and shows what people are doing with, the Action Force characters. Because it's, like I've said from the beginning, this line isn't just for me. This line is for everyone. So I'm bringing everyone along on the ride, and I want everyone to feel like they're a part of this, because it's not just me, and it's not just the people I have working for me. This is the people that are supporting it, the people that are paying for it, the people that are, loving it or hating it or whatever. Just, it can't be done just on me. It has to be done with everyone. So everyone has to be a part of it. So that's why I want to make sure that whatever people are doing, it gets seen and heard and shown, because people do some really, really cool stuff out there. And, I want to be part of it.
You have to forget and look at something else. You kind of have a checklist site now for the Steel Brigades. So I mean, is it kind of similar to that as well?
No, I mean, it'll be the Steel Brigade site, and I feel bad because I kind of started that, and then I haven't really done any updates to it because I've been so busy with the Action Force stuff. But it'll be like that, but much more in depth. Like, you'll get a picture of the character, of the figure, and what the figure came with, packaged. Just think of it as like a Yo Joe, but if Hasbro had Yo Joe. Well, so it'll be on Action Force, and it'll just be the Action Force figure checklist, and it'll have all the characters. So I don't want anyone going to a separate site to get information on my characters. I want to be able to provide everyone with the information for my characters. So that's why I want to do that and make it easy for people so that, you know, they don't need to go anywhere else. And it's like, oh, you go to the Valaverse site. Oh, cool. You go to Action Force. Oh, here's all the characters. And, you know, you can see, oh, when did that figure come out? Oh, this figure came out in Wave 2 in 2020, and it was part of this line or whatever. So I just want to make it easier for people.
Right. Okay. We're going to hold on. I got a cough. Hold on.
Let her rip.
Oh my gosh. Like I told Bobby before the show, I was in the hospital for a week, and then I get out of the hospital and I get sick again.
I don't think anyone wants to hear your sob stories.
I know, no one gives a shit. All right, I'm going to switch over to screen share, and I got some pictures that Bobby sent. We're going to let him talk about them. All right, this is your first picture you had sent me. This here is a new. What's this character's name again?
That's Downrange.
Downrange. Okay.
Yeah, he's a member of Action Force. He's one of the senior members of Action Force.
Okay. Now, when you come with the design or the facial and everything, where do you get your inspiration at on this?
I mean, I try to think of like a starting point of like an actor, you know, or multiple actors, and then you can kind of say like, okay, well, I want, you know, the demeanor of this guy or the jaw of this guy, or, you know, and you just kind of get your idea there, but you obviously don't want the character to look 100% like that actor, but you have to think of it as like you're casting people for a movie, you know, and how many directors, you know, write parts specifically for a certain actor or actress. So I try to think of it like that's in that sense. Like, okay, if I was doing an Action Force movie, who would I want to play Downrange? And then start from there kind of, and then tweak it. And then, you know, sometimes I'll just come up with a character all on my own, and I won't do any reference or, you know, think of it of who it might be. I'm just like, oh, I want a guy that looks like this. You know, clever people out there, and, you know, smart people are able to figure out kind of where I've gotten some inspiration for some characters, but yeah, it's from all over. Yeah, it's not just one thing. And then yeah, this is Karak. He's the leader of the garrison. He's the sort of the one that runs that military, and the garrison is the military of New Colonia. So basically, you know, Texas, for all you Texans out there, the new Texas. But he's, I guess, if you wanted to say there was a main villain, he's the main villain. And, you know, for instance, even with him, people have said, oh, did you put yourself in your line? And I said, no, I didn't plan on that. You know, it just so happened he's a bald guy with a beard. You know, there are a lot of bald men with beards out there, but he is not me. I was already on a 6-inch action figure, so I kind of checked that box. And I already named the company after myself, so I didn't want to be too vain and, you know, make a leading character myself. So this is not me, but he's you know, a bald guy with a beard.
I actually like the look of that character myself.
Yeah, I thought it's funny. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he looks like Obadiah Stane from Iron Man 2."
He does. Now you say that.
I didn't plan on that, but look, another bald guy with a beard. But no, I was not looking at him, Jeff Bridges, when I was designing this figure. It just kind of happened that way. But no, it's not him. It's not me. This is just his own guy.
As soon as you said that, I was like, he does look like Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, a couple people online said that, and I was laughing about it.
That's good. Okay. Now, this is the Swarm.
This is the Swarm Trooper. Yeah, so this was a work in progress of the Swarm Trooper sculpt. So people were asking if there's going to be troop builders in the line, and, you know, the Swarm Trooper is essentially a troop builder because they don't have, you know, names. They're not individuals, but they're a team of mercenaries or you know, hired guns, and this is one of them. So you can buy tons of them and build your own swarm army, which will be great. I actually just got in the finished, version of this sculpt the other day, but I showed the work in progress. So eventually I'll show the finished version. But he came out great. She killed it. This is one of Grace's sculpt. She followed my input drawing, and it was everything I hope. Sometimes when you're drawing a character, you don't know how it's going to look in 3D. You're like, well, I have an idea of how I want this thing to look. But when you finally see it in 3D, you're like, wow, that came together exactly how I hoped. So, I was really happy with this one. And he's just got a cool look to them. And he'll be in the initial fun goal. He'll be one of the 5. But there's also another different swarm trooper in the stretch goals. So the swarm troopers have been really fun guys to do. Just because they could be anything. And
so this one here, this one in the initial is kind of like the, let's say the pawns, and then down the stretch one there's going to be a leader.
I would say pawn, because pawn's like weak. But these are hardcore, highly skilled mercenaries, and or these are ex-military guys. So these are a lot of guys to be ex-rangers or SEALs or anything like that. So they're like the elite of the elite. So they're really, they're really good. They're not just like bats out there for fodder. These guys are hardcore. But I think of like the next one is more as like maybe like a heavy gunner. Guy with a bigger gun, more, bigger, thicker vest, kind of.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
So on this one, if people want to troop build it, there's going to be an option on the Kickstarter in order to, let's say I want to get all 5, but I want to get an extra one of this one or 2 extra ones of this one. There's a way to do that, of course, right?
Yeah. So I'm still working out the outline of the Kickstarter, but it's basically going to be set up so that the more figures you buy, the more discount you get on them.
Oh, wow.
So if you buy 1 figure, it's X price. If you buy 2, you get a little bit of a discount. 3, you get more of a discount. 4, you get more of a discount. 5, you get even more of a discount. So if you want, for those people that want to buy more, they're rewarded with a little bit of a discount. So, if you want the option to buy any 5 unlocked figures, you can choose 5 swarm troopers or 2 swarm troopers or, or 4 swarm troopers or however many you want. So the options will be there to buy multiples of figures. And, I haven't shown this yet. People can kind of put it together if they looked at the figure art closely, but essentially every figure could be a troop builder, because some of the figures, like for instance Downrange comes with a balaclava head. So if you wanted to, you could essentially make a bunch of troops, by getting multiples and not using the Downrange head, but use the balaclava head, and or swap other heads out and use that head. So I wanted to give people the option of, yes, you can keep him the unique character that he's meant to be, or the Action Force characters, at least some of them will come with a balaclava head, so that you can swap that out, and that'll be a troop builder for you. So yes, they are unique characters, but I'm allowing people the option to create their own world.
I mean, they can pretty much, in some aspects, make who they want, what they want, I guess, in some, what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. This next one here was kind of a hot tomato discussion.
Yeah.
On, I can't remember, was it Facebook or was it Instagram?
Both.
Was it both? Okay.
Yeah, I do a post. I post to both Facebook and Instagram at the same time.
In this here, and it took me a little while to figure out, because I know one of my, if I'm right, one of my Captain America Marvel Legend figures has the butterfly in it. And I'm a halfway fan of it, halfway not. I understand the reasoning on it. So there was a lot of discussion on whether it should have been a butterfly joint or just a plain regular
Yep.
arm and socket. And in the end, after so many votes or discussions, you decided to go with the butterfly. Is that correct?
I did. Yeah. 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 There was, it's one of those things where I was very honest from the start. I do not like this joint. I don't like the cut it makes in the torso. Aesthetically, I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. But I've used it on Marvel Legends figures that I've done, on the 12-inch figures, on the 6-inch figures. So, for anyone on one site specifically thought that I didn't know what I was doing, which is why I was asking people for help because I don't know how to design a figure, but that is not the case. Because I've used the joint, I know what I'm doing. But no, I was asking because I'm trying to make the best possible figure. And because I want people involved in but I want to know what do people like? Because shoot, when I was at Hasbro, we never got to ask these kind of things. If we wondered like, oh, what figure sells better than, if we were torn on putting a figure in a lineup, it's like, well, we can't just go and ask. We never did that. So I was like, well, I can ask now, and I'm going to ask because I don't like it, but let's see. I wasn't sure if the majority of people do like it or if the majority of people don't like it, or I wasn't sure because, my opinion is just one opinion. So I put it out there and, I got feedback, and then it was, I wouldn't say it was overwhelmingly butterfly, but it was, to the point where some people were, yes, it has to have butterfly in order for me to buy it. I won't buy it if it doesn't have butterfly. But there was a few of those, but there weren't any people saying, well, if it has butterfly, I'm not buying it. So it's interesting to see people saying, if it doesn't have it, I'm not buying it. I thought that was a little strong. But then the people that were like, no, if it has, I'm not a fan of it, but if it has it, I'm still going to buy it. I'm not going to, it's not a make or break for me. So the ones that didn't like butterfly were definitely more forgiving. But the people that wanted butterfly felt a little stronger about it. And then there were people that were 50-50. They're like, I'm not I don't need it or don't need it. If it has it, great, that kind of thing. And I was looking at figures for a weekend, like looking at butterfly joints and that kind of thing. And, I just looked at it and just hated it. But I had 2 Deadpool figures, and the 2 that were in the poll that I put online, and one's got them, one doesn't. Well,
that's where it was at.
You can hold a rifle correctly with or without butterfly joints, but you can't hold a pistol two-handed correctly without butterfly joints. It's like the Deadpool without them, kind of cocked out his elbows and held the gun like this. It was just really stupid looking. And because these guys, everyone's got a pistol, and I want them to hold it correctly, I felt that was a big selling point for me, was to hold the pistol correctly. And, now it's like I met with, my consultant guy, about them early this week on Tuesday. And, we figured out a way in the mold plan to do it. We added it. So they now have butterfly joints, and we're going to, adjust the vest slightly, because I didn't want the vest to hinder that movement, because these guys have bulky vests. But we'll make sure that the joint is usable. And, even when the characters don't have the vest on, it'll function as perfect as it should. And, that was it. So then I said, all right, well, let me reward everyone by telling them that we're doing butterfly joints, and everyone was ecstatic about it. I didn't have anyone coming to me saying, oh, you went with butterflies? Oh, that sucks. I'm not getting them. But no, everyone was like, hey, great. And a lot of people were incredibly excited at the fact that I got their feedback. And I thought that was great that they told me that, because it's like, listen, this is for you guys. This is for the consumers. This is for the fans. So of course I'm going to listen to what people are saying. I'm not always going to agree, and I'm not always going to take it. Like, for instance, I could have very well said, actually, you know what? I really don't like this joint, even though people want it. I'm still not going to do it because I don't like it. You know, I don't like, you know, when hands are articulated, or, you know, someone asked if I would do the wrists like Mezco or articulated icons, and I said no. They'll be Marvel Legends wrists, because I'm not a fan of seeing the ball in the Mezco figure hands, and also it's like it's a ball that's split, so that you could rotate the hand, but then if you want to rotate the ball to get a different angle, you have to kind of grab the ball and turn it, because you can't turn the hand and turn the ball at the same time. And it's a joint that gets loose very easily. I wanted these figures to be a little more robust, so that's why I said no. I'm not going to be doing it that way. So, you know, I know one or two people asked that, but as far as Butterfly, it was something that I felt would make a better figure, and that's why I went in that direction, and everyone seems to be pretty happy about it.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure I read these comments, see if anyone's asking questions for you.
Yeah, and if Mike doesn't get to your question, I've said it right from the start. You know, and this is what the biggest problem I had with the people that were being negative towards it. It's like, listen, you can come right to me. We're in the social media age. I'm on Facebook now. I'm on Instagram. You can go right directly to the site. If you have questions, if you don't like something, if you want to ask me something, I am fully available. So, you know, I want to know what everyone thinks. You know, you can be a troll, you can talk smack or whatever. If you want to do it, fine. That's, you know, but I'm available. I'm available for positive comments, negative comments, questions. If you want to, you know, email me and say, yeah, your line sucks. All right, well, I'm going to say, all right, well, why? You know, so I want to have a discussion with people. So it's more about, I just want to know people's opinions. I want to know why they don't like something, or, you know, oh, you know, try doing this, or have you thought about doing this, or maybe this is a good idea to do it that way, or anything. I am open to anything. So, you know, send any sort of comment my way, especially if Mike doesn't get the ones in the chat. I'm available, man.
And if you do get a question that says your line sucks, see if the user address is Army Alpha.
I'll just ask why.
I know.
I'm just
throwing out a punt. I'm just trying to be an ass.
Listen, he funded. Congrats for him to funding.
He did. But I was honestly surprised.
I'm done talking about that line, because I'm putting my effort towards Action Force. I've explained my displeasure with that line, so it is what it is. But no, if anyone comes to me, I'm, you know, yeah, you can come to me with any sort of comment, but I'm also going to question
any
sort of comment. But
was there? I knew you. We were on screen share, so they weren't able to see anything you did by some. You had said possibly maybe you might show something new-ish. Give me something. Give me something, damn it. You gave everything to Chris McLeod.
I did. Well, you know, he's from the UK.
I know.
Action Force, so that's why I knew right from the start that I was going to have it on his show.
Oh, I felt like it
was fitting to do that.
It makes you wonder, did he do circles on the ground like he did at JoeCon when they announced the Tiger Force figures?
Well,
we were jumping and kissing people.
We were on the phone, and the problem is it's not like I just told him on that show. You know, we set it up. I had to tell him, but when I called him up and I told him, he was incredibly excited. But it was also like that shock, like, wait, what? But yes, he was very excited.
Was he one of the ones that questioned you, like, Action Force, how'd you do that?
No, he didn't. And I told him, I said, once I saw a lot of people from the UK, like, you know, hating on it, I said to him, I said, hey man, why are all your people hating on this, man? I'm just trying to do something cool here. And I said, you're cool with it, so tell everyone else to be cool with it. But no, he's been great. It was great going on there and debuting it there. And yeah, he was legitimately surprised and happy. He's been liking what I'm doing. You know, we're working together on a few more things for it as well. And yeah, and then, you know, we recorded that show like a month before it actually aired because I had a set time. Like I thought we were going to record it, and then the next week I'd be ready to launch. But I was waiting on some art and things like that, and I wanted to update the site a little more. So I took some more time with it. So he kept asking me like, "Hey, when can we do this? When can we do this? When can we do this?" But yeah, we finally did it, and you know, I think it got like 1,000 views on Facebook and then almost 500 on YouTube. So I was like, wow, that's really cool that, you know, there are that many people that listen to it. You know, he's got a huge following, which is great. But yeah, so back to what you were saying about showing you something. Let's see here. What can I show? So yes, I'm working on a little piece of character art, and I showed her. How can I move this so you can see my screen? I showed her on Instagram, but you know, I'm working on the character art for a certain character. Let's see if I can pull this off without showing my Cintiq and my computer here. So I'm working on a little beauty there. That's all there, guys. So she'll be done Monday, Tuesday-ish, and then I'll get it off to my friend to color, and then we'll post her on the site because I'm very excited to show her on the site. Yeah, so a little sneak for you there. But you know, I kind of showed her already, but she's a good one. She's a good one. People like her. I like her. Of course, you know, they're all my children, so I have to like all of them.
Not necessarily. It could be the redhead. It could be the redheaded stepchild.
It could be, right?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Bobby, I know you're enjoying what you're doing since your days at Hasbro and all this. And I'm excited for you. I really am. I really enjoy getting to see the images you load up. Another thing, it's funny you should mention how McLeod got so many hits. I know once Valaverse.com hit in the one of the scroll bys is the episode 50 of Just Another G.I. Joe show, and we actually picked up quite a few views on that one. I think over 100 views really quick.
Cool
on that. So we're nowhere near the Chris McLeod age of viewership.
Hey, that's right. You guys are doing your thing and going strong. So you got a good following, and I love coming on, and you know, I appreciate everyone that tunes in, that listens, sends their feedback. Like I said, I'm so thankful to everyone that's been positive and supportive about this. You know, because I'm really excited about this. You know, yeah, I was bummed about Hasbro, but man, best thing that ever happened. I get to design without handcuffs on. I get to do what I want to do, and it's been awesome. It's been really awesome, and to be like this close to it, like, you know, like I'm talking to my guy, you know, earlier this week, and you know, we're going over you know, the cost sheet and the mold plans, and I'm like, wow, this is like a reality now. And you know, for so long I wasn't talking about it. I couldn't say what it was. Now it's like I could talk freely about it, and it's just really cool to be able to have it out there, you know, and to see, you know, all the people getting on board with it. It has been really awesome, and I thank everyone for checking it out and liking pages. I'm still trying to figure out Facebook. It's all like confusing to me, like, but you know,
as long as you have the
shares are good, comments are good. So
you have the
everyone who goes on.
As long as you have the Facebook page management app, it's easy. It separates it all from everything.
Yeah.
From your Facebook page to from your actual page, your name.
Yeah.
Versus what you use. I have 4 I manage, so it's a lifesaver.
That was the confusing thing. Like Fred was helping me out early on, and you know, he was like, "Well," he goes, "I know you're anti-Facebook, but if you if you want to do a Valaverse page, you have to start your own personal page so you can be like the admin." And I was like, oh, I've been off Facebook for so long, and now I have to go on and do it. So, you know, I had to bite the bullet and actually create my own Facebook page, and I did that. And then I wasn't like accepting anyone's friend requests because I was like, I just want to leave it and not manage that page, but just manage the Valaverse page. But then I said, you know what, I'm missing out on like following other pages and other groups and things like that. So now it's like, all right, well, now I'll just, you know, accept all the friend requests and I'll be fully immersed in it. Can't escape it now, you know.
All right. Melvin wanted to know the image you showed us. Is she the one that's all tatted up?
She is not. Well, so both females in the line have tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
If he's asking about the one that has the tattoo on the back of her head, no, that is not her. If he's talking about the one that has the arm sleeve on her right arm, yes, that is her. But both females have, one has an arm sleeve on her right arm, one has like a tattoo up on her left shoulder and on the back of her head. Yeah, I like some tattoos on women. You know, tastefully done, of course. But I also think tattoos look cool on action figures. You know, when they do the tampos, they tend to come out really cool. So I wanted, you know, especially figures that have like some bare arms, I wanted to get some tattoos in there. I thought that would be fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know if Fred was here, this interview probably would have gone a little bit longer, but I want to shift over a little bit to, of course, it would not be just another G.I. Joe show episode if we did not have something to say about the Collectors Club.
I don't want to talk about G.I. Joe. I don't want to talk about. No, I'm just kidding. We talk about.
So we're going to mute you for a minute. Now, for people, an email came out this week. I don't know what day it was, and the club was like, we put out 70 some odd items in the Collectors Club store. Now, you know, I'll go back and I can say honestly, from when the Transformers Club was going down the line, I remember them adding all this stuff, and they had a little bit of upcharge, not a whole lot. There's just some of the stuff that came out that is literally highway robbery. But I mean, they can do what they want to. I mean, one of the things that was listed, which is completely gone now, was a lot of Tiger Force stuff. I mean, we're talking like the Tomahawk, Tiger Force.
Yeah,
it was up to about, I think they're asking like $400 for it.
Wow.
$425. And then the 3-pack Airman that went with it, they were asking like right at $400 for it as well. One thing, and you know, the club's got to get rid of this stuff one way or the other. They have to get rid of it. But what's really kind of pissing people off is that Savage has always said that the only way you can get this figure is by getting the subscription service. That's the only way you're going to get this Mystery 13th figure. Well, guess what? You don't have to wait now to get that Mystery 13th figure. They got them listed on here right now. Of course, they're about $80 a piece. $120 for G.I. Jane. $115 for Doc. But hey, we get down to Grand Slam, that big disappointment, for $65. You know, and then the other things that you can only get if you attended JoeCon, like the most anticipated thing I ever saw at a JoeCon, which was this little locker with some weapons in it, which was actually the biggest slap in the face in JoeCon history. Granted, they only want $30 for it, but then you go back to JoeCon 2017, and it's the Cobra Law Battle Station little bonus, which I actually kind of like that. But they got an $80 price tag on that. $90 for JoeCon 2016 Air Raid. You know, $100 for the JoeCon 15 Mantis. I mean, just now, granted, a lot of stuff has gone out. The one thing, damn, $140 for the Echo Striker. That's ridiculous. There was one that came out. A lot of people bought it, and I thought it was a pretty good deal actually. It was a $40. Um, shit, I can't remember the figure's name now. He was in a Tiger Force. Which one was he? Sure, someone's going to sit here and say what it was.
Let's see who's on my shelf.
He's the one that has the goggles and the dual launchers on both sides of his back.
Where are my Tiger Force guys?
I'm looking at him. I can't see his
launchers on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He was a Tiger Force guy?
No. He was a
Metalhead.
Metalhead, that's it. Yeah, a lot of people were picking him up for like $40.
Wow.
No accessories at all. No accessories. Came as is.
Oh, just the figure. Gotcha.
Just the figure, but I mean, hell, you can get some secondhand accessories.
Sure.
Really cheap, probably. I mean,
yeah, if you like customizing shit, man.
That's $40 I thought was actually a really good steal. You know, it's sold out now, but they've sold out of a lot of their stuff. And the reason they do this, and they'll do it like they did the Transformers, is, you know, this is March. Usually around the summer, they'll say, okay, we've pretty much put everything in the club store that we have in the warehouse, and come this this certain date we'll start discounting like 10% each week, every week until it's gone. So, you know, they'll start putting stuff up like the JoeCon pins, like the golden ticket pins, the first 100 day or first 100 pin before they went to the first day pin, you know, like they did.
Yeah.
You know, they've listed the 2014 50th anniversary solid silver Challenger coin up here.
Oh, I like those coins.
Yeah, I got the other one. I never got the silver one. It's 162. My understanding was that was at the price of what the current market was for the silver, I guess.
Gotcha.
So, good old club shenanigans, you know, is what we see. But I mean, in all honesty, they have to unload all this crap.
Yeah, I mean, I always like playing devil's advocate with you, but
I know.
You know, it's kind of one of those things. I listened to the last show you guys had where you were talking about that. If I were the club, you know, and yeah, you got to understand if they're like, okay, well, the only place you can get this was JoeCon or this or that, but when they get inventory in, you know, I could be wrong about this. I'm not saying I know for a fact, but you get inventory in, and say you have an archives or you had X amount set aside to send to Hasbro or as extra in case you needed to replace some. So now you have this extra product. Well, what are you going to do? Not sell the product because you said it was only available at JoeCon? It's like, no, well, what if people that didn't go to JoeCon? It's like, sure, all right, let people try to get a handful of them that you have left. And the other thing is about the prices. You know, I don't blame the club on that. I blame the secondary market, you know, because shoot, if I were the club and I saw that, you know, a certain figure was selling for $80, I'm not going to sell it for 40. It's like, why should the scalpers be making that money? They're like, well, it's our product. We want to make the money. So I don't, I guess it kind of stinks because you're like, oh, well, you know, why are you trying to sell it? But at the same time, their contract's done. You know, you want to get what you can, you know, when you can get it, you know. But you know, I see it from the other side too. It's like, well, you also want to move the product, so I'm sure they're gonna put the price up, and you know, things will get lowered as time goes on. Certain things won't sell as well or that kind of thing. But you know, they are giving people an opportunity to get stuff that, you know, people thought maybe wasn't available anymore. So it's good in that sense. But yeah, I understand you know, the frustration with it, but I also I get it, and I don't blame them for it. You know, if I were in their shoes too, you know, it's a business. You know, you gotta,
Oh yeah.
you know, you're in the business. I mean, I'm in the business of making toys because I love toys, but you know, no, I'm just kidding. I just want to make money. That's all I care about. No, I'm actually. No, it's, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's everything's a business. So you wanna make sure you're not, you know, losing out on anything. So, you know, I get it. But you know, I've always seen things from both sides when it came to, you know, the club.
Okay, I'll just double check on some stuff. Well, I guess I'm going to call it a show. I know Fred was going to try to make it in if possible. I was actually this episode. I was kind of going to lay back a little bit behind it while you and Fred talked, since I've been under the weather. So
I'm gonna have to give Fred some shit. I mean, we could always do an episode next Saturday where you're not on, and then I just talk to Fred.
Lordy, Lordy, what would you two talk about?
You?
That would be a oh, some bitch.
Come on, you walked into that one. You didn't expect that?
Hoping people be nice to me.
Oh, come on. Listen, we're in the age where people aren't nice people anymore. People aren't nice to me. You know, I'm not nice to the Texans and the people from the UK, so no one's nice to me.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate everyone who's watched. If you're not a subscriber, man, I'd really appreciate y'all clicking subscribe to the YouTube channel and like to the video here tonight. As far as the Kickstarter, we're looking at the end of April for Bobby.
Yeah, in April. Yeah.
End of April, and you can find. I'm trying to remember his social media now is on Facebook, Instagram, and Valaverse.com.
Yep.
And you are not on Twitter.
No.
What do you got against the Blue Bird?
Dude, it's hard enough for me to manage all this. On you know?
Dude, I got 3. No, like, I barely manage it.
I need like a social media assistant or some shit like that. But no, people have asked me like, "Oh, you're gonna get on Twitter?" Honestly, I don't know what Twitter like does. Like, what like if I got on Twitter, what will it do that Instagram and Facebook don't do? You know what I mean?
It's all the same, except for Instagram. You have to post a picture when you post something. Though, it's always got to find a damn picture when I want to say something. That's one of the reasons why I don't like Instagram to a degree.
Yeah, I like Instagram because it's so simple. It's so streamlined. It's like I put a picture, I put my comments, that's it. Facebook, it's like someone likes it, someone shares it, someone. So it's like I get all these notifications of like different and then I'm trying to find like, okay, well, this person mentioned it in this post, so I'm trying to find the post, or this person shared it here, and I'm trying to go there and start following that page. It's all just like so overwhelming.
Yeah, I understand. So, I'm assuming sometime throughout the Kickstarter, we will get you on again.
Yeah,
and we'll and of course, I know me and Fred will. We'll push it out on our social media, and then of course, we hope, we all hope you hit it. We really do, because I mean,
thanks.
Even though we're not going to get a 6-inch line GI Joe line this year, I think we'll be pretty close to it. But in other words, I mean, it's kind of a whole new line of something new. I know that's all I said, a lot of new in that, but it's kind of like a new storyline, a whole new world. That's what I like. That's what drew me. As soon as I read into it, that drew me into it. I really like that. So
cool. Yeah, and it's also, it's not just for Joe fans. It's for everyone. It's for 6-inch collectors. It's for military collectors. It's for anyone who just thinks figures are cool. So it wasn't, I hope the Joe fans really get behind it. But it's also, for everyone. I want everyone to kind of get on board with this. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
So, all right. Well, y'all know where to find Bobby at. You're also on Hiss as well. I forget your I've seen you reply, but what is your
Yeah,
call on his?
I've been going on there, but it's it's just one more thing to manage. But it was more just that I was going on just to kind of, because I think people just weren't informed about the difference between trademark and copyright. So
Okay.
once I explained all that, people were more understanding, and so
Okay.
I was just trying to wrangle the comments a little bit. Just like I said, everyone's entitled to what they want to say. If this isn't your cup of tea, great. But I'd like to know why. So I was just asking people, why they were making some of the comments they were making. But it's just, I probably won't be on there too much longer, just because between Instagram and Facebook, and then also it's like I'm working on the line all the time.
Right.
It's hard to just manage all that. So that's why I said, like, if people want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me, and I will get back to you. You want to have a discussion, a conversation, you want to talk about something cool? Sure, man. You want to talk about hockey or guns or bourbon or whatever. I'm down for anything. So yeah, just anyone can reach out to me. So
Okay, great. Well, again, we appreciate you coming back on. I know you were ready to come on.
Yeah.
And then we'll definitely have you on anytime, of course. We'll definitely get you on throughout the Kickstarter, which I believe you said you were going to push that like 40. Was it 40? How many days were you going to do your Kickstarter?
30 days.
You're going to do 30. Okay.
3 days.
So
if I can't do it in 30, then I'm doing
that's
something.
Right. That's right. I remember you telling me that now. So 30, so end of April. So sometime in May we'll have you back on, or before then if you want to come back on for shits and giggles.
All right.
So, well, Bobby, we appreciate you coming on. As always, it's always a pleasure having you on here. And for people watching now, thanks for watching. And if we'll be having video form soon, and appreciate y'all sticking out throughout the whole hour and a half, or however how long this episode is. So I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.